I think it's safe to say that the McMurtry Automotive Fan Car is a work of art. But let's just roll the clip. It never gets old. I've watched that clip maybe 10, 12 times, and it's astounding. And if you thought it sounded like a jet engine, that's because it actually does. More on that later. It's safe to say that with an example of a car like this, performing like it has, the entire framework and landscape of the motorsport world is being turned on its head. Now, maybe I'm not the only one who has ever said this, but I see an example of a car like this as the brainchild for the future of motorsport. Lofty claims. But the formula is very simple. A fully electric car that weighs less than 1,000 kilograms, built to be incredibly small in profile with a central single seat, advanced aerodynamics that channels the air through and around the body, 2 high-performance rear engines powering the back wheels, and 2 rear fans that can create an excess of 2 tons of downforce. There has been no greater step forward in the development of the electric engine, the electric power plant, than what we are experiencing right now. And with it comes an entirely new platform to experiment with, not only in the areas of power output and management, but in the areas of traction, downforce, airflow, weight distribution, and this is where the future of cars and motorsports becomes very exciting, because these possibilities are simply endless. I'll be honest here, the introduction of the electric engine, the electric vehicle, didn't excite me very much at first. Sure, they accelerated quickly, but the feasibility of seeing cars like these survive for 50 to 70 laps around the track at race speeds just didn't seem feasible. But we look at Formula E today, and of course now we know that the reliability of batteries are improving by the day, and their longevity is paramount. These cars can now perform at race speeds to a point where they finish the races with 0.2% of battery life left. It's amazing. But I've been a pessimist for a very long time. Been a petrol head all my life, and this radical change can be a touchy subject for a lot of enthusiasts. But when we see the potential of an idea actually taking shape, it's no longer on a spreadsheet anymore, it's live and right in front of you. It's on display and producing amazing results. Then things start to get interesting. As an industrial designer, I can truly appreciate how this car presents itself. It looks traditionalist. It's using bulbous, rounded forms. And rounded shapes like these aren't only going to make for better aerodynamic performance, but it's also a design that's going to age very well. It has this feeling of a 1950s sports car with elements coming from the likes of Austin Healey's, classic Maserati Berlinetta Pininfarina motifs. But the planting of this seed, this aspiration of taking electric vehicles and pushing them further and further on the racing scene, I believe was established thanks to the Volkswagen ID.R. If we remember back to the emissions scandal of 2015, VW pulled themselves out of the spotlight and did the best and most radical thing: create an all-electric prototype to dominate Pikes Peak, which it did. Then on to the Nürburgring, setting a very decent lap time of 6 minutes, only limited by its overall top speed on the main straights. Since the track is so corner-heavy, it made for a great proving ground to test accelerating and braking, and what a result. Then a less aerodynamically heavy model of the ID.R broke the Goodwood hill climb record and sealed the deal at 39.9 seconds. I believe that this was one of the first times that we as an audience saw how a car like this was able to handle itself, on a world scale. But the issue with a vehicle like this is it's still an ultra-wide body, fairly long wheelbase, spoiler and scoop heavy slot car. The proof of concept for minimalist advanced aerodynamic work didn't come from an electric car. If it wasn't for Gordon Murray, the man who's always determined to throw the rulebook out of the window, we wouldn't see the fan car concept expanded. We know that Jim Hall, who is one of the greatest American drivers of his generation, came up with this idea of a separate fan on the rear of the car to aid in downforce. And the Chaparral 2J was first debuted in 1970, banned at the end of the Can-Am series of the year. But in 1978, Murray's Brabham BT46B was promptly banned from Formula One forever. This whole concept of the fan at the rear of the car at first came across looking like nothing more than a gimmick, But as many of us know, ground effect, literally sucking air from underneath the vehicle and directing it downwards, when implemented properly will virtually eliminate the need of rear spoilers. This is a future-focused idea, and it's amazing to think that this concept was first pioneered in the 1970s. Murray's iconic McLaren F1 to this day is still one of the fastest accelerating naturally aspirated cars, a real icon of the 90s, and then of course his hotly anticipated work of art, the T50, a culmination of all that he has done over the years, a love letter to the car enthusiast, the final swan song of the petrol engine. And I think it's truly amazing that he received the majority of orders for this car, which had not even been conceived yet or built, purely by the side profile sketch of this car. So using this method and infusing it with the form and the lines of a refreshed McLaren F1 design, we get a gorgeous car that doesn't seem to have any frills about it, but minimalism is the name of the game. Completely in-house built 4-litre Cosworth V12, 0 to 60 in 2.9 seconds, a top speed of almost 220 miles an hour. This is virtually on par with what electric cars are capable of today, and all from a naturally aspirated petrol engine once again. Oh, and of course the fan is working away at the back of the machine. So with this idea of an all-electric vehicle, the understanding of power to weight, the principles of aerodynamics and ground effect, the team at McMurtry Automotive decided to come up with this hyper-performing electric vehicle. It could best be described as a 1,000 horsepower, scaled-up Hot Wheels car, with inspirations from jet fuselages and Keaton's Batmobile. Yes, this looks unconventional, it sounds unconventional, but what a great vision. It's said that this machine can do a lap around Silverstone faster than an F1 car, that it produces over 750 kilowatts per 1,000 kilograms, which gives it a near 1-to-1 ratio when we compare power to weight. It does 0 to 200 miles per hour or 300 kilometers per hour in 9 seconds. The formula is truly perfect, and it's especially because the active downforce of those rear fans will mean that traction is not an issue anymore. A fun fact that when the fans at the back are completely spooled up, they produce sound in excess of 120 decibels, which is on par with the sound of a jet engine. That's why it sounds so good. So it's not only one of the fastest electric vehicles ever produced, it's also one of the loudest. So where does a concept like this lead from here? I direct your attention to the Peugeot 9X8, a newly created hypercar for the Le Mans series. And this once again is a proof of concept that shows just how exciting the future of motorsport will be. No rear spoilers, no crazy aerodynamic tricks, no huge wide body sizes, just a clean, simple exterior with a low profile, channeling air through all the correct passages around the arches of the body, and at the same time manages to bring across Peugeot's individualistic design DNA, without compromising the performance of this monster of a hybrid-powered machine. What does all of this spell for the future of competitive motorsport? With many concepts like these, the rules will have to change, ideas might have to be revoked, evolved, or eliminated. But if manufacturers can collectively create and apply technology like this into their vehicles, having an equal playing field, we could see some great things very soon. It needs to be said again that the future of motorsport, whether electric, hybridized, or hydrogen-powered, is bright. And these cars, being the proof of concept, show us just how far they can push the physics of racing and performance. It shows us that there are near endless possibilities. Of course, this is all going to trickle down and affect consumable cars, which is going to be even more exciting. But I think we are returning to a time where we are going to see this beauty of mechanics and design meshed together for the first time in such a powerful way. And as an enthusiast, I can say that I have never felt more excited about the future development of the automotive than I am right now. So I'd love to know your thoughts on this subject. What are your thoughts on the McMurtry? What do you think about the possibilities of these becoming standardized road cars one day? It looks like we're moving closer and closer to the Jetsons by the minute. I think the reason why I love this car so much is that the design marries with its performance. It's not ostentatious, it's not trying to show off. It's just there for a purpose and performs brilliantly. And I believe that many more manufacturers need to take notes, because this is only the beginning.